So I may have been slightly inspired to learn Godot. Godot? However you say it. This doesn't mean I'm moving away from Unity, it just means I want to learn something different. But anyway, the best way to learn is by making something. This something has to obviously be simple because this is my first Godot game, alright? So my best idea was a platformer, but a platformer itself is kind of boring, so I'm gonna mix it with a rage game. My idea is for it to be a bit like Getting Over It. What I mean by this is one mistake can make you lose all your progress. And who doesn't like losing all their progress? It's fun, isn't it? I've definitely never broken my desk over anything like this. So anyway, let's get started. The first thing I'd done was made some placeholder pixel art. At the time though, this wasn't a placeholder, but then I realised it was kind of trash, so I just wanted to make a better one. But anyway, this was for the player. To make this player, I needed to make something called a scene. This really confused me, as a scene in Unity is something like a level. Also, something else that really confused me is that the properties work differently. In Unity, you just get a game object and you just add like the collision in the properties. But on this, you have to like chain loads of nodes together. So as you can see, this has gone off to a very good start. The only positive that came out of this is when I made a script, it automatically made the movement for me. This is good because it uses something called GD code. It's a bit like Python, which I luckily know a bit of. However, I definitely do not know enough to be able to do anything with it. So I'll be learning very slowly as I make this game. Enough with the main character, it's time for a bit of level design. For this I just made a placeholder sprite, as at the moment I just want something for the player to stand on. And anyway, I end up using a tile system, so this would be a really bad sprite for it. So now the player has something to stand on. Ignore that. Okay, now it has something to stand on. It's good. Next up, I got some animation working for the sprite. I know I don't use a sprite, but like, I'm still learning how to make the animations work. Right, so I'm still doing something useful. From this gameplay, you probably noticed there is absolutely nothing in the background. So I hear you, I'm gonna make some art for the background. So I put all my effort into this, right? Okay, it looks trash. That's why I remove it, but for now, as I said, it's a placeholder, right? So it's just a placeholder. This was when I realised the platforms would be trash, so I ended up replacing them with a tile system, which actually made it a lot easier, as now all I have to do is just place loads of blocks. Also, I can't lie, my pixel art is actually alright. The next thing I wanted to do was learn the basics of the coding. All I done was change the inputs from the arrows to the A and D keys. Because right now, that is all I know how to do. When I was testing the inputs, I realised my character looks kind of trash and stuck out compared to everything else. So I ended up making this blue bear looking thing, but I think it actually looks pretty nice. At the moment, it only has an idle animation, but later on I'll make a jump and a run animation. I've now spent a bit too much time on this, so I need to move on to something else. So what does most platformers have? Well, it's kind of in the name, they have platforms. But this is going to be a different type of platform to the ones I have already. These are going to be ones you can jump through. I know they're in some other games, I don't really know any examples right now. I'll probably show some on the screen. So I managed to get it set up, but I went one step further and managed to make them move. I know, very impressive. What can I say? I'm already a pro at Godot. Also, these platforms can not only move, you can use them as elevators to get higher up. I'm just too clever, alright? I just realised I forgot to mention I made acid sprites for the bottom of the map, but it was only now I made it so it would make you respawn at the beginning if you fall into it. At the moment, the coding is easy because I'm getting a little help. However, this is soon gonna change and I'm gonna regret my life. Okay, so it's time. The background is being removed. Rest in peace. I'm replacing it with something simpler, but this is mostly because the other background was causing some issues, so I needed to get rid of it. But to be honest, I would rather something more simple anyway. I do make some small tweaks to it, but I probably won't mention it when it happens, because it's just very small differences. After I made this, I kind of realised the character has the same colour as the background, which is probably not the best idea, so I made them purple. This made me want to make some animations as well, because right now he just bounces up and down, so it's a bit boring. Also, I made the sprite flip depending on which direction you're facing, but then I realised it's symmetrical, so it literally does absolutely nothing. so ignore I ever done that, right? Something was bothering me, so I stopped making the animations and went on to something else. What I wanted to do was make it so when you fall into the acid, you would slowly move down. Because right now you just fall all the way through and it doesn't really make that much sense. But this, literally, like this was impossible. I actually don't know why. But when I eventually got it, it was so satisfying, you don't even understand. And by the way, I was doing this on my own without no help, so that's why it took me so long. Remember when I removed the old background? Well, this is why. I wanted to turn on this camera setting which basically makes it smoothly move. However, this did not work with the old background for some reason, as it would just leave it behind. But now this made it feel a lot less stiff. So the gameplay felt a bit more smoother now. Okay, I know I've not really been doing anything useful right now, but now I'll actually do something important. I'll add a new gameplay mechanic. I wanted to make a jump pad, as this would make the game a lot more fun. Also, it will help me with the level design, as I can make it so you can just bounce to different areas. But what could I make into a bounce pad? Well, because I have such a big brain, I decided to make a mushroom. Because, you know, mushrooms are bouncy, I think. I kinda got a bit carried away making the mushroom sprite, so I ended up making a cave and a tree. I can't lie, I think I was trying to avoid the bounce pad, because I next moved on to making the main menu. And while I was making art, I made a play button. Well, actually, I already had made the play button for another game I made. But anyway, just ignore that, alright? It doesn't matter. I didn't really know how I was gonna do this though, and I didn't know what type of main menu I wanted. But then a big brain idea came into my head. What if I started inside of the cave, and then it slowly zoomed out as you press the play button? But how the hell was I gonna do that? Well, it's actually more simple than you think. All what happens is when you press the play button, it does an animation just to zoom it out. And that's literally that's it, that is it. I'm making it sound easy, but it still took a bit of time to do. Also, I've done a lot of tweaking to change the speed of the zooming out. And here's the final product. I would say it's alright for my first menu. Okay, I've wasted enough time now, it's finally time to do the bounce pad. I've been pushing this away for too long. I did kinda have to search up a video to find out how to do this. It is actually kind of simple, as when you enter the mushroom, it changes the velocity so you go upwards. When I got it working, I think I was enjoying it a bit too much. Something that was annoying me was that it would not go into full screen properly. Luckily this was a simple fix, as it was just something to do with the settings, but now I could actually properly go in full screen. Anyway, now it's time for another gameplay mechanic. I didn't want anything to kill the player, but I wanted something that would push the player away. The best idea that came to my head was something where I shoot bullets sideways. But what would do this? A flower, obviously. So that's what I first started to make, the flower. I can't lie, looking back at it now, it does kind of look a bit sus, but you know, it will do. I also made these nice balls for it to shoot out, and now they were shooting out sideways. But at the moment, they did absolutely nothing. Now, this was when things started to get really bad. For some reason, the knockback will just not work. And trust me, I tried literally everything. They would either bounce me in like the most random direction possible, or it would just crash the game. It got to a point where it looked like it was working, but for some reason, the right side had a different knockback speed. I don't even know how this happens. But you know, I just ignored this because it looked like it was working. And then when I placed the flower more further down the map, just look what happens, alright? Yeah, great. I thought like normalizing the value would help this, but like it just doesn't do anything. So then I was trying to fix this for hours, and eventually I just gave up because I don't have the time for this, right? I had exams at this point, and it was just a waste of time, right? I'm sorry if I've disappointed you, but you know, RIP, sus looking flower. Okay, so now it's time to actually make some progress. What I wanted to do was make the level a bit bigger because like it's not really much of a game. Still, I'm not making anything massive, but I've now got an end point at least. At this end point, I made another cave because you know the whole story of the game is you're migrating to a new cave basically for some reason. Just don't think too hard about it, alright? And basically when you touched it, it would pop up with text saying you win. So obviously I had to try and test this, but somehow I managed to lose at my own game. And I'm not even joking, this happened a second time. Maybe the game is now a rage game. maybe I'm doing a good job. Or it's probably I'm just bad at the game. That's probably it. The last thing I wanted to add to the game was sound effects. I was just trying to have fun, alright? This is obviously not a serious sound effect, alright? But anyway, I've got the... And then we got the... And last of all, we've got the... I think I was having a bit too much fun making these sound effects, because they did not fit this game. But you know, it is something. I learned stuff. But yeah, that's everything I done. I just want to say thanks for watching if you got this far. I'll probably move back to using Unity after this, because this got me really triggered. But yeah, I still think Godot is good. I'll probably use it again at some point. But anyway, see you next time when I eventually upload again.